What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Wake and J College Football Show. Today is your Week 12 preview. Um, we are getting down to it. We're in the month of November. We're basically halfway through November. But here's the crazy thing: for the teams that are going to be playing for the national title, we're like just over halfway through the season. Now, for most other teams, we have passed that halfway point. Especially teams that are not going to be playing in a bowl game, we are well past that halfway point. But for the teams participating in that national title game, we're over halfway there. So we're getting down to it. This college football season has absolutely flown by, and it does this every year. November always sneaks up on me. It happens way too fast. Um, but yeah, typical episode today. Preview this weekend's games, give out my favorite bets. I am going to give out my updated top 25, and then I'll send you on your way to enjoy the football this weekend. Um, we are going to try this again because it didn't work last week. Uh, Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. So Eastern, because that is the time zone that I currently live in. I am going to be going live on YouTube. So set your alarms, set your clocks, whatever the case, and join me at 10:30 live. We'll see how it goes this week. Like I said, I was trying to do it last week. Technical issues, had to just pre-record and then post it later. So we're going to try to avoid any issues this weekend. So 10:30 a.m. Sunday, we're going live to recap week 12. So yeah, let's have a good wake and bake sesh and get right into it. Let's get into previewing some games. And right off the bat, we're just going to get it over with because it is a Friday night game. Minnesota Minute. Minnesota travels to Oregon to take on the Ducks. Oregon is the number 8 team in the country. They are heavy favorites in this one, 25.5 points. And some Minnesota fans, if they're if they just have maroon and gold glasses where they are just casuals, I will say that's disrespectful. The Gophers are a better team and shouldn't be 25.5 point favorites or underdogs. If you have watched the Gophers on the road this year, it has not been pretty. The Gophers cannot win on the road, and they have such abysmal performances on the road. The two toughest games they've had so far this season, against top 10 defenses, Ohio State and Iowa, both came on the road. Turns out they got another one against Oregon, who has a top 10 defense, and that just also happens to be on the road. Just an absolute tough draw, especially with just having an offense that is in a down year. To be playing these tough defenses it's rough. We'll get into it. Minnesota's coming off a bye week. When they had a bye week earlier this year, I threw out the stat that at that time, PJ Fleck led Minnesota teams are 12-4 when coming off a bye or going into a bowl game. Basically, when PJ Fleck has more than 1 week to prepare for an opponent, not counting first games of the season, Minnesota was 12-4. Well, they won. They are now 13-4, and going into this one, coming off a bye, that's more than 1 week to prepare for an opponent. I still don't think that record matters, though. I think they will be 13-5 after this, if I'm being completely honest. I have, and I don't mean this to be negative. So if you are a Gopher fan, Minnesota fan listening to this, do not take this the wrong way. I am not trying to be a negative fan. I'm trying to be a realistic fan, in that I just don't have I don't have expectations for the Gophers in this one. I just don't. Um, this Minnesota offense, like I mentioned, has gone up against two top 10 defenses so far, and it's just been awful. 6 total points, 295 total yards, 3 turnovers, 5 of 26 on third downs, third and fourth down, sorry. That is 19.2% of the time you are converting a third or fourth down. It has been ugly. And like I mentioned, Oregon does have a top 10 defense. They are the sixth scoring defense, third in total defense, 14th defense on third down. Um, I expect absolutely nothing from the offense. If they can score a touchdown, and this is, I know this sounds sad. If they can score a touchdown, I consider that a success because so far you have not been able to even do that. So if they score a touchdown, hell yeah, I'll consider that a win. I'll consider that a success. Um, my expectations are so low in this one, and again, I'm trying not to be negative. I'm trying not to be a negative fan, and I don't even think I'm being that negative here because again, it just is what it is. Um, maybe, maybe just maybe, this is a letdown spot for Oregon, coming off that big, huge, gritty win against Iowa. Maybe this is a letdown spot. And maybe because PJ Fleck has had more than a week to prepare for an opponent, maybe they do have the perfect game plan. Maybe the offense is able to score more than a touchdown. Darius Taylor, it's rumored that he might be back this week. Maybe everything aligns, everything clicks, and the Gophers come away with the upset. I just I just don't see it happening. Moving on to Saturday's games, noon slot. Wisconsin at number 2, Indiana. Indiana, 29.5 point favorite in this one. They survived last week. Indiana did against Penn State with Omar Cooper Jr. just absolutely bailing them out. Fernando Mendoza had a little bit to do with that. Um, Wisconsin got their first Big Ten win last week, so congrats to them. 13-10 win over Washington. Just ugly, ugly game. A game that you give all the credit to their defense, absolutely none to the offense. Um, it was after their two scripted drives. I think they basically first drive of the game got like 50 something yards. I think it was 58 yards. Second drive of the game was 31 yards, and then they did not hit 30 yards the rest of the game. Their three scoring drives all started in plus territory from just bad punting or punt returns, turnovers, whatever. Like they started some of their um, drives in field goal position and settled for field goals because their offense couldn't do anything. Their leading passer was their punter. 1 for 1 for 24 yards. The other three quarterbacks they played, it was 5 of 17 for 24 yards. Just abysmal. Wisconsin's defense is good enough that they may slow down Indiana in this one. Maybe Indiana only scores 21 points or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter because Wisconsin, unless Indiana just has some abysmal turnovers in their own territory, Wisconsin's not moving the ball. Wisconsin's not scoring. I wouldn't be shocked if scripted drive at the beginning of the game, similar to last week, is good for 30 to 50 yards, and then they don't hit 30 the rest of the game. Uh, I won't say Indiana by a million just because the defense might slow them down a little bit, but Indiana never in doubt. South Carolina at number 3, Texas A&M. Uh, Heavy favorites. Texas A&M is favored by 18 and a half. I mean, South Carolina. There was a from 274 Sports instead of 247, so some people got caught. That Lenore Sellers was sitting the rest of the year and was going to hit into the transfer portal. Miami was his likely destination. So that was fun to see. But no, Lenore Sellers is in fact playing. He has not entered the transfer portal, has not decided to sit the rest of the year. That is all fake news. Um, some might try and claim that this is a trap game for A&M. I just, I'm having a hard time believing that. One, they're at home. Two, South Carolina has just been such a disaster this year that I really, I just don't feel like it's possible for South Carolina to win. Um, Last time we saw them, they got absolutely beat down by Ole Miss. That offense has just been terrible. They had two drives go over 30 yards. First drive of the second half, which was a 75-yard, you'd say, scripted play or scripted drive, and then 33-yard drive to end the game. So they did nothing in the first half. very beginning and very end of the second half. That's it. I mean, like I said, it's been a disaster all year. They're 120th in scoring, 104th in passing, 128th in rushing, 129th in total offense, tied for 109th in red zone offense, 121st in third down offense, 127th in tackles for loss allowed, and 131st in sacks allowed. Guys, this is not a team that struggles in just one spot and then everything else is mediocre. No, they're god awful at everything. They can't throw it because their wide receivers are inconsistent. Lenora Sellers has absolutely no time to throw the ball, which Shane Beamer. This is not the first time that you've had a terrible offensive line. Spencer Rattler, I hated Spencer Rattler. And by the end of his time at South Carolina, I felt bad for the guy, which I never thought I would do because it was snap the ball and immediately start running for your life. And it really hasn't gotten better. How are you this bad at getting an offensive line? What is going on? Because it's again, can't run the ball, can't throw the ball, offensive line can't get any push. They're allowing the quarterback to get sacked. Wide receivers are inconsistent. Lenora Sellers is running for his life. Like, what are you doing? It really all does come down to, I guess, the offensive line because they do have talent at wide receiver, albeit I wasn't high on the talent coming into the season, and they have done nothing other than a quick flash here and there from Harbor shown that I should be have any faith in them. It really, the tweet was going around that Lenora Sellers was going to enter the transfer portal and sit the rest of the season, and people got because it's believable. Honestly, it's him or bust with that offense, and I wouldn't be shocked if they don't win a game the rest of the year. Although I do think they have a game. They might. I don't know who they have remaining. I know they have to play Clemson, but after this one, I don't remember who they play next week. Um, Regardless, South Carolina's offense is a disaster. Now, defensively, they've actually been fine. They haven't been terrible. They do have a good pass defense. Only two teams have hit 250 passing yards now. Some might argue because South Carolina's offense has been so bad that when any team gets out to a lead, they just run the ball, and that's fair. That's a valid argument. But the two teams that hit over 250 yards, it was Alabama with 253 and LSU with 254. Um, Here's the thing with Texas A&M's offense: they're basically the exact opposite of South Carolina's, where they are well balanced. So if you shut down their passing attack, they'll just run it all over you. Vice versa, you shut down their run game. Oh, okay, well, they're just going to torch you through the air then. Um, this this Texas A&M offense is very good. So even if South Carolina is able to shut down the passing attack, I don't think they're going to have any trouble running the ball because they have enough weapons that they just won't be able to be completely shut down. And I think this Texas A&M defense and Cassius, watch out for Cassius Howell. He may set some sort of record this weekend because he is gonna have a field day against this South Carolina offense. This is not a trap game. Texas A&M continues to go undefeated. Number 9 Notre Dame at number 22 Pitt. Pitt is a 12.5 point dog at home. And this is really Notre Dame's last test this season, so they got to make it count. Now, I had the argument last weekend where we need to not forget, but maybe forgive first games of the season because sometimes if you play those games again midway through or even the end of the season, it's a completely different outcome. CJ Carr, that was his very first start on the road at Miami. That's not easy. And we saw it. He was rough for the first 3 quarters. And then all of a sudden, fourth quarter, it clicked, and it has clicked ever since. It took a minute. Look at Notre Dame's defense. First 3 games of the season: Miami, Texas A&M, Purdue. They were 2-3. Sorry, 2-3. 2-1. They lost 2 of those 3. They were 1-2 to start. The defense allowed 27 points, 330 and 339 yards to Miami, 41 points and 488 to Texas A&M, 30 points and 379 to Purdue. So 27, 41, and 30. Since then, only one team has scored more than two touchdowns against this Notre Dame defense. And it's not like they've been playing terrible offenses. NC State, Arkansas, USC, USC being the only offense to score more than two touchdowns, they had 24. Um, Boise State is not a terrible offense. I know the group of five, but I'm just saying it's not like they have played the worst offenses in the country. They have played some explosive offenses and completely shut them down when nobody else can. Something switched after that Purdue game. And like I mentioned, CJ Carr, he's been solid. Jeremiah Love, and I might be a little biased because I do have a future on him to win the Heisman. He is not getting enough, pun intended, love for the Heisman. I think it's a little disrespectful. He is fourth in all purpose yards, tied for first in total touchdowns. Do I, as of right now, do I think he's done enough to win it? No, but I think he should be a lot closer to the top than he is currently. I would say he's probably top three or four. Um, yeah, he deserves more love. No pun, well, pun intended again. He deserves more love for the Heisman. Now, Pitt, and here's the thing too. Also, Pitt hasn't been held. This Pitt offense, I guess I don't know why I said. Anyways, Pitt's offense has been really good this year. Now they started the season 2-2. Mason Heinchel took over as starter after those first four games, and they've been 5-0 since. No team has really been able to stop Pitt, especially since that switch. I think no team has held them under 30, 20, some 25. I don't know. There's enough. Basically, they score a lot. I think the over under in for points in this game for them is 20 and a half, which I kind of like the over in that one. Now, offensive line for Pitt has not been great. They are the number 15. Well, I don't think they're number 15, but they're top 15 passing attack, and they are 104th in rush offense. Offensive line's not great. 119th in sacks allowed, and tied with like 9 other teams at 99th in tackles for loss allowed. So, offensive line has been an issue. Defensively, Pitt has been pretty good against the run. Um, there's 3 teams that have run for more than 100 yards. West Virginia, 174, Florida State, 170, and NC State, 161. All West Virginia's the 40th best offense. FSU's the 11th, and NC State's the 58th. So 58 and above have success against this defense. They've also faced the 114th, 130th, and 135th run offenses as well. So they have faced some mediocre to good, and they've had success, and they have faced some really bad and shut them down. Notre Dame's got a really good run offense. I think Pitt might be in trouble. I think this run defense is a little inflated. Now, well, actually, yeah, no. This run defense is a little inflated. I'm not even going to defend it. Um, I think I think people think that Notre Dame is no good because of the easy schedule and starting the season 0-2. Because here's the thing, I'm typically a Notre Dame hater, and last year I was so against Notre Dame. I said they're not a good team. They're not a good team. They're gonna lose again. They're gonna lose again after losing to Northern Illinois. And then they just kept winning and winning and winning all the way to the national championship, and then they lost finally. And then I was able to say, "See, I was right." But I know I wasn't. So last year I was so against them, and then they just kept proving me wrong. This year, I feel like they're not getting enough love. Similar to Jeremiah Love, they're just not getting enough love, in my opinion. I know the playoff committee has them top 10. I still feel like they're just not getting enough love. Give me Notre Dame in that one. Arizona on the road at number 25, Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 6.5 point favorite at home. Arizona, quietly a 6-3 team. Losses to Iowa State, BYU, and Houston. Um, their best win though, Kansas, maybe Hawaii. Honestly, and speaking of Hawaii, actually, I just want to side note quick. They do not get talked about enough. Before the season, when I was previewing the Stanford Hawaii game, I told you that watch out, Hawaii might be a good team this year. They'll go bowling. They're going to be a decent team. They're currently 7-3 and sitting in third in the Mountain West Conference behind San Diego State and Boise State. I don't cover Group of Five because I don't have the time. Hawaii deserves more love, though. Okay, Arizona. Basically, all the good teams that they've faced, they've lost to. And they're beating all the average to bad teams. So I feel like Cincinnati's a good team. And this is a game that, based on just that trend alone, Cincinnati should win this. However, I think Cincinnati's in trouble in this one. Arizona's offense, they've just been average, but they are the number 26 scoring defense and the number 17 in total defense. I'm sorry, that doesn't get talked about enough. The fact that Arizona, like I said, they're just kind of quietly 6-3, and they've got a good defense. Uh, Cincinnati, they like I said, they're a good team. They've had a good year. They're 7-2. They've lost to Utah and Nebraska. You could argue they were one bad throw away from, or one good throw. They threw a bad interception. Sorsby did. They're one play away from winning that game. But when you really look into Cincinnati's season, the three best defenses they've played so far: Central Florida, Nebraska, Utah. In those games, they are 1-2. In those three games, they are scoring 17 points a game, and in the other six, which they are 6-0 in those, they are scoring 44.8 points per game. Just so you know, Arizona is up there with Nebraska and Utah. They're better than UCF's defense, who held them only to 20 points. So keep that in mind. Arizona's defense, just as good as other defenses, where Cincinnati's only scoring 17 points a game compared to the nearly 45 points per game. Now, granted, the other six games, that does include like Northwestern State and Bowling Green, so just keep that in mind too. But still, they're scoring a lot of points against everybody else. Also, against Central Florida, Nebraska, and Utah, Brendan Sorsby, quite the difference. Against those three teams, he has 36 of 79, which is a 45.6% completion percentage, 160 yards per game, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now, he has been still effective with his legs against those teams, 53 yards a game, 3 total touchdowns. So, got to give him that. Against everybody else, again, the teams that he is 6-0 against, and the offense scoring is scoring nearly 45 points a game. He is 108 for 158. That's a 68.3% completion percentage. Guys, that's a 23 percentage difference between those two. Throwing for nearly 264 yards a game. That's a whole over 100 yards more than against UCF, Nebraska, and Utah. He's thrown for 18 touchdowns against these six teams and 0 interceptions. And is still effective with his legs. 48 yards a game on 5 touchdowns. Cincinnati's offense is fake, I guess. They're deceiving. They're not actually that good. As soon as they play a good defense, Brendan Sorsby shuts down. It's just bad. Um, and the stats prove it. The offense struggles against good defenses. I think we may see Arizona with an upset this week. I am officially putting Cincinnati on upset alert. Give me Arizona. West Virginia at Arizona State. Arizona State is an 11.5-point favorite. Sam Levitt's out for the year. Jordan Tyson sounds like he might be out until the Colorado game. Not ideal for Arizona State, because Sam Levitt out means, and here's the thing, Jordan Tyson out, even with Levitt back, still brutal. uh, because he was your passing attack. That's it. It was him or bust. Uh, but now with Sam Levitt out, Jeff Sims is going to be your starter. And here's the thing that we know about Jeff Sims: he's going to turn the ball over. He does it all the time. He has never shown the ability to not do that. In their win against Iowa State a couple weeks back, he turned it over 3 times. They still won the game, but he turned it over 3 times just himself. That doesn't bode well for them for the rest of the season. And honestly, as bad as West Virginia's been this year and as bad as their defense has been, they still have forced 10 turnovers in the last 5 games. And they've been showing some fight. Lost a close one to TCU, upset Houston on the road, and then took down an absolutely dead poverty team in Colorado. Uh, I am not going to officially say that West Virginia pulls off the upset, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they came away with the win. Let's see. Afternoon games. Number 11, Oklahoma at number 4, Alabama. Alabama is a 5.5 point favorite. Oklahoma fans vehemently, I don't know if I said that word right, disagree with me on this. Um, and if you go back and watch, if you follow me on TikTok, you can see when I've posted about Oklahoma, they don't like me. If you check the shorts on the YouTube channel, Oklahoma fans seem to not like me because I think their defense is overrated. I still think they're a good defense, but going into that Ole Miss game, they were the number 1 in scoring and number 2 in yardage, or maybe flip flopped. I don't remember. Top 2 in both. And I thought, hey, that's overrated because they had not played any great offenses, especially any offenses who could throw the ball. And since then, Ole Miss has been able to throw the ball successfully. Tennessee's been able to throw the ball successfully, and now they're going to take on Alabama, who can throw the ball successfully. Now, before people get after me about, well, Oklahoma forced 3 turnovers, how can you say they're off, or against Tennessee, how can you say their defense is bad? That was more on Joey Aguilar than anything. Go back and watch the game and don't tell me that he made the dumbest throws possible to throw those interceptions. Those would have been interceptions against any defense because of what his choices. So fork off with that. Their Oklahoma's defense is susceptible to the pass. I don't know why that's so offensive to Oklahoma fans, but they just get so upset with you when you say that. Alabama has absolutely no run game, and I keep waiting for this to be a thing where that bites them in the ass. And it just has not happened yet. Now, I do think at some point, if they are not able to get a run game going, that it is going to bite them in the ass. I don't think that's this weekend, though. Oklahoma's run defense, yes, they're good. Yes, they'll probably shut down Alabama's run game just like literally everybody else. Here's the thing, though: Oklahoma's offense or defense is susceptible to the pass. Alabama's great at throwing the ball. Give me Alabama in this one. I don't even want to preview that anymore. I don't want to say Alabama by a million, but Alabama easily. Duke and Virginia. Virginia is the number 19 team in the country. Duke is a 4.5 point favorite at home. Virginia making me look stupid as hell last week with Wake Forest. Duke's been kind of a weird team this year because Manny Diaz is their head coach, so you think Manny Diaz, good to great defense, offense may be fine. But that's not the case this year. Defense is 99th in scoring, 106th in total defense. And offensively, they are the 22nd scoring offense and 20th in total offense. So, complete opposite of what you would expect. Here's the thing with Duke: they're 5-4. Their 5 wins are against Elon, NC State, Syracuse, Cal, and Clemson. Combined record for all 5: 22-26. Their 4 losses: Tulane, Illinois, Georgia Tech, UConn. Their combined record: 28-9. Based on that, Virginia should win this game because Duke can't win against good teams, is what that tells me. 28-9 are the records of the teams they've lost to. Virginia, though, over the last 6 games, they've been kind of, for lack of a better term, lucky. 46-38 double overtime win over Florida State. 30, which is not looking like as great of a win now. 30-27 overtime win against Louisville. That one's still looking fine. 22-20 win over Wazoo, Washington State. Not great. 17-16 overtime win over North Carolina, which is starting to look better as North Carolina is starting to find a stride, but you were inches from losing that one. 31-21 win over Cal. Okay, fine. And then a 16-9 loss at home to Wake Forest. Outside of Cal, they've been kind of cutting it close lately. I wouldn't be shocked when this game is final and it's a one-score game. Now, honestly, I don't trust either team to come away with a win, so I'm not even going to pick a winner. I'm going to take the coward's way out. But I will say this is going to be a one-score game. Number 21, Iowa at number 17, USC. USC is a 6.5 point favorite at home. I mean, this might be. I found myself rooting for Iowa last week against Oregon, and maybe this is just my issues. I have a problem with these Pac-12 teams that joined the Big Ten, um, because I think USC joining the Big Ten is a joke, and they do not belong. Their style does not fit with the Big Ten. Lincoln Riley doesn't fit with the Big Ten. Um, I'm finding myself rooting for Iowa for the second straight week. Their Iowa's playoff hopes are dead. They're gone. USC's are not. Maybe Iowa can destroy USC's playoff hopes. Now USC is 7-2 with losses to Illinois and Notre Dame. Um, they were losing to Nebraska before Dylan Raiola went down and never returned. Some could argue they would have lost that game, but we'll never know. USC has looked a little vulnerable over the last three games. And Iowa is going to be the best defense that USC has faced, while simultaneously also being the worst offense they have faced so far as well, which is kind of funny. Um, and I guess that's going to be the case with most teams. That's just how it is with Iowa. Through the first four Big Ten games, Jaden Mayava completing 71% of his passes, 286 yards a game, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Over the last two Big Ten games plus Notre Dame, he is completing 56% of his passes, 254 yards a game, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Uh, Regressed a little bit. So far this year, against Iowa's defense, only 2 teams have gone over 200 yards passing. Indiana with 233, Rutgers with 330. Also this year, only 3 teams have had over 300 yards of offense. Oregon with 373, Indiana 337, and Rutgers with 400. Only 3 teams have scored more than 20 points against this Iowa defense. Rutgers with 28, Indiana with 20, Penn State with 24. No team has scored 30 points against Iowa's defense. USC is the 7th best scoring offense. They are 10th in passing and 2nd in total offense. And they've only been held under 30 points twice, Notre Dame and Nebraska. So this is going to be. I'm so excited for this game, honestly, because I'm curious to see which one breaks. Does Iowa allow their first team to score over 30 points, or does USC get held under 30 points for only the 3rd time this year? Um, Also, Jaden Mayava, yes, he's been struggling lately, but he has only been held under 200 yards passing once, and that was Nebraska with 135. Uh, Teams don't throw for over 200 yards against Iowa very often, so I'll be curious to see what happens there. USC's offense as a whole has not been held under 300 yards, and like I mentioned, Iowa's defense, only 3 teams have gone over 300 yards. In fact, USC's offense has only been held under 400 yards twice. Notre Dame at 396, barely under 400, and Nebraska with 337. If this was a home game, I would definitely say Iowa by a million. But this is on the road for Iowa. USC is the home team. They've got the high flying offense. Iowa's got the stifling defense. Give me Iowa in this one. Let's see. UNC at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a 5.5 point favorite at home. Can UNC make it 3 in a row? They beat a bad Syracuse team. They beat a bad Stanford team. They were close against UNC. They were close the week before against Cal. Um, Now they take on a Wake Forest team that I just don't know how to read. I thought they were sneaky good, and then they got destroyed by Florida State, but then they upset Virginia. I don't know how to read them. But I do think that this is going to be an ugly offensive game for both teams. UNC, they are 4-0 when they score 20 or more points. That's, first of all, terrible for the offense, but great for the defense. Um, Vice versa, Wake Forest, when they allow a team to score 20 or more points, they are 1-3. Which one breaks, essentially? If UNC can score 20 plus points, it's almost a guaranteed win. If they don't score 20 points, it's basically a guaranteed loss. This is going to be an interesting game. I am going to go with UNC, but I am not confident. Evening games, we got Florida at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is number 17 in the country. They are a 13.5 point favorite at home. I mean, Florida showed absolutely no fight last weekend against Kentucky. That was so frustrating. DJ Lagway was benched. It was they managed to score 7 points in that game against Kentucky, and the only reason they scored seven is because they got the ball at the 13-yard line off a muffed punt. Brutal. And then Florida's defense, who has been good all year, allows Kentucky to score 38 points on them. Just terrible. And now they go on the road to Ole Miss, who, outside of one quarter against Georgia and I guess the game against Kentucky, has looked pretty good. Trinidad Chambliss has been a nice surprise. Ole Miss probably finishes the season 11-1, honestly, because I don't think they're going to lose this game. Then they finish the season with the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. I still have a feeling that Ole Miss drops one because I don't know, maybe because it's Lane Kiffin, and he always seems to do that. But I think Ole Miss might be a shoe in for the playoffs. I know my top 25 doesn't reflect that, but I think Ole Miss might be a shoe in for the playoffs based on where they're ranked and what they have the rest of the season. Uh, Number 13, Utah at Baylor. Baylor is a 7.5 point underdog at home. I think they're in serious trouble. I don't know how Dave Aranda still has a job. Maybe they just look at the coaching carousel and they're like, yeah, one more year. Um, Baylor hosts Utah this week and they go on the road to Arizona. They finish at home with Houston. All of those are very losable games for Baylor. They are honestly in danger of missing out on a bowl game. Offense, offense has been great for Baylor. Sawyer Robinson's been great. Somewhat surprising because Dave Aranda is the head coach. Their defense has just been terrible. The 100th scoring defense, 86th in total defense, 113th against the run. They also struggle with mobile quarterbacks. Jackson Arnold went 16 for 137 and two touchdowns. Sam Levitt 15 for 62 and a touchdown. Avery Johnson 10 for 72 and a touchdown. Sorsby 11 for 85 and a touchdown. And Utah has the number one among Power Four teams, but the number three run game in the country. And Devin Dampier is because he missed a game, he is now their second leading rusher. He's averaging 65 yards a game. On top of that, Utah's defense is one of the best in the country, particularly against the pass. This is not a shock to anybody, but I think Baylor's in trouble this weekend. We've got number 10 Texas at number 5 Georgia. Georgia is a 6.5 point favorite at home. I mean, I guess this is probably going to be the game that we can officially say that Texas is bad. Not back, bad. Uh, I've been trying to say it for weeks. I've been trying to say that Texas is actually bad, but then they just keep winning and winning and winning. And so then you get to the point where you start thinking maybe they are actually good. They still got to play Georgia. They still got to play Texas A&M. And you've watched them play, so there is a chance they still lose, and then we can say they're bad. But you watch this team play, and they don't look like a good team. Defense has been great-ish. Offense has not. You watch them play, and there's no way this is a good team. And then you look at the record, and they're 7-2. and it's just it's a dilemma for me. They just I so badly want to say they're bad, but I feel like I can't because of their record. Again, they still play Georgia, they still play Texas A&M. There's still a chance they drop those two games and finish 8-4, and then I can say yes, Texas was bad relative to what everybody thought, but still can't get there. Arch Manning, I mean, outside of G5 opponents, he had his best two games of the season against Michigan State, sorry, Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. Feels like he may have found his stride. Uh, Defensively, we know Texas has been good this year, but offensively, they're starting to step it up a little bit. Georgia, defensively, they've been good in the second half. They just seem to be slow moving, slow starting, but they get it going in the second half. They really struggled in the first half of some games. Um, Offensively, Georgia's been absolutely dominant in the run game. They're averaging just under 200 yards a game on the ground. The only teams to shut down Georgia so far this year, Auburn and Florida, kind of. Uh, Auburn held them to 79 yards in that game, and Florida held them to 138, which 138 is not great. Um, Texas defense will be the best run defense that Georgia's faced so far this year, so that's going to be interesting to see because really, when you look at it, the only other top 40 run defenses that they have faced, Auburn and Kentucky. This is a Texas defense that has a very good run defense. So this will be interesting to see. Now, vice versa, this is also going to be the best run game that Texas defense has also faced. So one of those is going to break. Which one is it? Um, this is going to sound stupid. So just bear with me while I run through this. But and again, I know this is gonna sound dumb because you're gonna say, "Well, no shit." Whichever team can win the second half wins the game. And again, I know it sounds so stupid, but just hear me out. In SEC play, Texas offense, and actually you could even argue against Power Four opponents because Ohio State was better in the second half. Texas offense is much better in the second half. Granted, I wouldn't say they're significantly better, but they are a better second half offense than they are first half offense. You can't really say that about Georgia necessarily. They've been pretty consistent offensively first and second half. Vice versa, Georgia's defense in SEC play has been significantly better in the second half. They are allowing 14.2.3 points a game in the first half compared to 8.8 points a game in the second half. That's a whole touchdown difference right there. So again, and you can't say that about Texas defense. Texas defense has been consistent first quarter or first half and second half. Georgia's offense, first half, second half. It is Texas offense versus Georgia's defense that we need to see. Whichever one of those wins the second half wins the game. Again, I know it sounds dumb, but that's really the key to this. Arch Manning's been playing better. I just feel like it's still Kirby Smart. It's still a Kirby Smart defense. It's still Georgia. It's still a Georgia defense. Give me Georgia in this one. A few other games I just want to briefly touch on. Number 18, Michigan on the road at Northwestern. Northwestern is an 11.5 point dog at home. This is not stat based. This is just pure vibes alone. I feel like Northwestern's going to put up a good fight in this one. Again, I don't have any stats to back that up. This is just vibes. I just feel like based on how they played against USC, how they've been all year. Yes, I know they've had a relatively easy schedule. They've beaten a lot of bad teams, and they're 5-4, which is not necessarily a great record. I just feel like they're going to put up a good fight in this one. I'm not saying they're going to win. That is not what I'm trying to say. I do not think Michigan is on upset alert. I just think Northwestern gives them a good fight. That's it. Michigan is a 7-2 team. Losses to USC and Oklahoma. I wouldn't say that Michigan has been overly impressive this year. It's not like they've been bad or disappointing. It just they've been quietly a solid team. I know Northwestern's 5-4, but that's kind of how Northwestern was too. At one point, they were 5-2 or 5-3, and you thought, okay, they might actually be a good team. Now they're 5-4 compared to again a two-loss Michigan team. But I do think Northwestern puts up a good fight. I do think they're a solid team. Uh, Honestly, when Minnesota heads to play them next week, I'm not. Do I think Minnesota will win that game? Yes, but it's not as easy of a win as I feel like it could be. Um, let's see. Arkansas at LSU. LSU is a 5.5 point favorite at home. And this, I mean, it seems like a far fetch, but this might be the week that we see LSU's offense come to life. Um, no idea who the quarterback's going to be. I don't think it really matters because this offense has been absolute garbage, and specifically the offensive line. So I don't think it matters who the quarterback is because they're not going to get much protection. But because it's Arkansas, maybe LSU does look halfway decent offensively. The lowest the lowest amount of points that Arkansas has allowed to a Power Four opponent, 33. That was to Auburn. Power Four opponents are averaging 41.2 points per game against Arkansas. On the other side, LSU's offense has not scored more than 25 points against a Power Four opponent, and they're averaging less than 20 points a game per versus Power Four opponents. Something's got to break this weekend. Either Arkansas's defense will hold somebody under 30 points for the first time this season, Power Four opponent, or LSU's offense will score 30 or more versus a Power Four opponent for the first time. Something's gonna gotta break. We got UCF at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is the number 6 team in the country, 23.5 point favorites at home. Right off the bat, Texas Tech's going to win this game. The only reason I'm previewing this is for one reason, and I'll get into that in a sec. I think Texas Tech is basically home free at this point. I think, based on what they've got left, I think they're shooing for the Big 12 title game. They're basically shooting for the playoff. I think they're home free almost. UCF's defense, I mean, they've been decent this year. They've been pretty good. Offensively has not been good at all. Taven Jackson was benched last weekend against Houston. I don't know. I'm going to assume he's probably still the starter. Uh, Either way, I don't think it really matters because I don't think UCF is going to win this one. I will say the one thing that does go in UCF's favor is Texas Tech has played every single weekend since October 4th. This is their seventh straight game without a bye. So they may or may not be looking ahead to next week when they get to just relax, have the week off. I'm not saying Texas Tech is going to lose. Texas Tech is going to win this game. UCF to cover, though, might be a play here. NC State at Miami. Miami is the number 15 team in the country, 15.5 point favorites at home. I'm only previewing this game for one reason. I'm putting Miami on upset alert. And the only reason I'm putting them on upset alert because you look at this game, this matchup on paper, and there's no way that Miami should lose this game. But it's Mario Cristobal. So it's possible that Miami does lose this game. He always seems to find a way to lose games he shouldn't lose. You could argue he's already done enough of that this year that he probably won't do it again. I don't think that's necessarily true. I'm putting Miami on upset alert. Final game to touch on, Mississippi State at Missouri. Missouri is a 6.5 point favorite. I made the prediction earlier this season that Mississippi State would go bowling. They're currently 5-5 with this game against Missouri, and then obviously the Egg Bowl against Ole Miss. Uh, both both these games are very winnable for Mississippi State, but neither are necessarily easy. Um, and Missouri, here's the thing: Missouri lost their quarterback, so there's a lot that rides on Matt Zollers in this one because we saw him against Texas A&M struggle. 7 of 22 for 77 yards. So they can't have that Matt Zollers this week. If he's the one that shows up, Missouri loses this game. But through their first 5 games, they were absolutely thriving. But they have struggled over the last 4 games, going 1-3 in that span and losing Bo Pribula for the season. Um, and I mentioned this last week. Those first 5 games of the season, Ahmad Hardy was killing it. He was a huge reason that they were winning in those first 5 games. Then he went through a 3-game slump where he just really wasn't getting it going. And then last week, got it going again against Texas A&M. If that's an indicator against what he did against Texas A&M, if that's an indicator for what's going to be the rest of the season, he should feast against Mississippi State because they have the 112th ranked run defense. So if he's back to his normal self that we saw in the first 5 games, Missouri wins this one. All right. My favorite bets. We'll start with the Power 4 Moneyline Parlay. Give me Arizona from the Big 12, Iowa from the Big 10, Alabama from the SEC, UNC or North Carolina from the ACC. That comes out to plus 3,460, 3,460. Now, for my favorite bets, I already mentioned earlier how I think Pitt over 20.5 is not a bad bet, but that's not going to be one of my 5 favorites. I already mentioned UCF to cover 23.5, but again, not one of my favorites. I don't like to do this, but I'm doubling up with the moneyline parlay and a team to cover. Give me Alabama minus 5.5. I don't have faith in that Oklahoma defense. I just don't. I don't think they're going to win. Oklahoma's going to win. I think Alabama's going to win relatively easily. Give me. I don't do these props very often. I liked the look of it. I'm going to be honest. Give me Utah over 213.5 team rushing yards. Baylor's got a bad run defense. Utah's got one of the best run offenses. I feel like that one's a no-brainer. Now, this next one, you could argue is probably a little, the odds are not as favorable as some might like, so I do apologize for that. And actually, I'll let you choose between these two kind of thing. The official one I'm going to have on here is Tennessee first half to cover. Not to cover. Tennessee first half over team total. That's going to be Tennessee first half team total over 27.5. It's at minus 138. So I don't love those odds, but I love the bets. Clearly, the books do too. If those odds do drop, and honestly, even if it does go up a little bit to 28.5, I still may take that just because it is New Mexico State. They're not a good team. This Tennessee offense is great. Even last year when they had Nico Iamaleava, they were still putting up a ton of points in the first half against bad teams. So the official one is going to be Tennessee first half team total over 27.5. But again, though you don't like those odds, here's one with slightly better odds. Tennessee first half minus 21.5 at minus 128. Maybe a field goal gets scored by New Mexico State. Maybe they break one for a touchdown. I think Tennessee could score 30 plus in the first half. After that, I've got a few that I'm trying to pick. I had Arizona money line written down, but we already put them in the Power 4 parlay. I had Iowa money line written down, but same thing, already put them in the Power 4 money line parlay. So let's go with Cincinnati. Again, I'm sorry, you may not like these odds. So you know what? I'll let you pick. I'm putting Cincinnati under 31.5 points at minus 132 as the official pick. I already mentioned how Brendan Sorsby struggles against. You know what? I'm actually talking myself into it. We're just gonna do the other one. Cincinnati under 231.5 receiving yards or passing yards for Brendan Sorsby, assuming he's healthy the whole game. He struggles against good defenses. Arizona has a good defense. Give me Cincinnati under 231.5 receiving yards. And then lastly, I'm trying not to double up on a couple games here. I also have UNC moneyline written down, which I also added into the Power 4 moneyline parlay. I'm trying to avoid. I really want to do Utah either team total over 34.5 or first half over 17.5. I don't love the number 17.5, so I'm skipping it. Um, I like West Virginia to cover against Arizona State. Give me UNC over 16.5 points at minus 122. Offense has started to look a little better. When they score 20 or more, they win. I'm not saying they're going to score 20, but I think they can score 17. So just to recap, that is Tennessee first half over 27.5 team total. Or if you want to take Tennessee first half minus 21.5, don't blame you. Cincinnati under 231.5 receiving yards, Alabama minus 5.5, Utah over 213.5 rushing yards, and UNC over 16.5 points. And then Arizona, Iowa, Bama, UNC Power 4 Moneyline Parlay plus 340 or 3460. Those are my 5 favorite bets. It's going to be a good weekend of football. It's going to be a good weekend betting. Enjoy the football. Happy betting. Remember, Sunday morning, 10:30 Eastern, live on YouTube to recap Week 12. I'll talk to you then.